We're live. Thank you for joining. This is Spirit Speaks, our spiritual conversation and discussion with me, Aria McGowan, at Undefined Wellness in White River Junction, Vermont, on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. Also, live on Facebook and uploaded to YouTube shortly thereafter. Yay! Open this up with a little prayer. I am happy to learn whatever I can. I'm happy to forgive. I'm here to forgive whatever it is that I see that seems to express a lack of love. I am open to shifting my perspective towards the true vision. And I am grateful for what is, as I see that it is perfect. And may it be so. I had a great conversation with someone today. Um, they came in for a more energy work session. Energy work. Woo, energy work. But they'd never gotten it done before. They'd never had energy work of any kind before. And it's not really about energy work, right? It has nothing to do with what you seem to be doing in the experience, right? Um, all healing that seems to occur is happening on the level of the mind only, right? The body doesn't need energy work. The mind, it seems to give a permission slip to the mind to kind of unblock itself, to kind of acknowledge its openness to healing, acknowledge the willingness to heal. Yeah. But they had never had this experience before of energy work, and they told me afterwards, they were like, I didn't feel anything. And that's not what they sounded like, but it's quite funny. And I was like, oh, that's great. That's great. I knew you wouldn't. My experience providing the energy work was one of feeling that this person was very blocked, did not feel safe to be energetic, be an energetic being, you know. It was almost like I could feel in my hands, really, it's just knowing in my mind or a sense in my mind, right? That there's a lot of stories that this person was holding about themselves and a lot of body identification, a lot of identifying with the character in the dream, right? And so and even so far as to deny the effects that they assign some of the stories of their character, right? For example, a story of needing to pretend to be someone that they're not in order to receive love or in order to be safe, right? So this is an example of a story that they seem to adopt in the dream, but they were so identified with this story that they deny the effects of the story, right? That they gave, that they deny the effects of that they gave the story that they adopted, right? So the effects of this story would be, wow, I feel really uncomfortable. I don't feel safe to be myself. I don't feel um, lovable the way that I really am, any of these things, right? And I have to act a certain way to get what I want from other people, right? And it seems like the effect of this story, oh, I have to behave a certain way to get what I want from other people. An effect that we assign this story is a lot of kind of self-abandonment, a lot of discomfort, a lot of emotional dysregulation, a total lack of satisfaction, a total lack of self-trust, a lack of trust in other people, right? Because and this makes so much sense if you look at it very simply, very plainly. If I am behaving a certain way in order to get something from you or to get something from someone else, when I look at other people, I'm expecting to meet a false version of them who's trying to get something from me, right? Uh, so if I'm saying, oh, I have to be a certain way, or I have to look like this or look like that in order to get what I want from other people, right? I'm expecting everyone around me to be trying to deceive me so they can get something from me, right? So it's a, you're putting a false image on yourself, right? And therefore expecting everyone else to behave the same way. Expecting everyone else to behave the same way and to behave in a way that justifies your defenses, that justifies your intensity, your anger, your irritation, all of these things, right? And it's hard to not do that, you know? So this friend of mine and I were talking and saying, really identifying the the difficulty with reteaching yourself uh, that you are safe to be yourself, essentially, right? There is a lot of kind of difficulty that comes in with that. And what I suggest to people is to microdose. Microdose being yourself. Do something, if you're so used to essentially people pleasing, that's really what it is. It seems different, right? Because the story would say, oh no, it's not people pleasing because I'm getting something out of it, right? If I do this, I'm getting something from that person. I'm getting something out of the interaction that benefits me somehow. So I'm not really doing it to make them happy. I'm doing it because I get something out of it. Ultimately, same thing, right? You're doing something to make someone else happy or to make someone else like you, right? Which then seems to give you what you want. So microdosing being yourself. So do a small version of being yourself. If you're used to being a different version or a different person, depending on who you're talking to, right? See if you can integrate a small part of being weird or being yourself or having a different haircut, wearing glasses, even if you have something in your mind saying, oh, but that's not as attractive. And if that's not as attractive when I wear glasses, who's gonna like me? And if people don't like me, how am I gonna get what I want from them? Right? How am I gonna manipulate them into giving me what I want because then they like me, you know? And when we look at it like this, it's just so obvious it's an ego game, right? It's an ego game for survival. I have to get anything from anyone else in order to survive. I have to make them like me in order to get what I want from them, et cetera, et cetera. If I don't do this or if I do that, then, maybe I'll have some sense of satisfaction, coming from an experience in the world, all of these things. So I suggest microdosing. And I didn't microdose. I took a huge dose of this medicine. My experience with this, or the analogy that came up was when I totally shaved my entire head of hair, and I've always had, curly blonde hair my whole life, played around with different colors, blue and purple and whatever at sometimes, but always had curly blonde hair on my head. And uh I shaved my head. And I had a couple friends at the time. I had one friend who talked about it and said it was a great experience for her. And then I had another friend who uh, had their head shaved all the time. That was just their preference of the hairstyle that they liked. And so I felt like I had supportive community, people who had cut all their hair off and who appreciated it or thought it was a good experience. And so I felt motivated to do it. And I shaved my head and just buzzed it, so I have a teeny tiny bit of hair, but it's blonde, so I looked bald. And so I shaved my head and I loved it. I looked in the mirror and I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like this, it feels cool. It's satisfying, like it was just awesome. And then I went to the grocery store and I remember walking around the grocery store and I think it was at a time where we still had to wear face masks and stuff for COVID. I don't remember. But I'm walking around the grocery store and I just, my memory of this is that I feel everybody looking at me like I just left an insane asylum or like my mugshot is on the door. Like everybody is like staring at me. I feel so ugly. I feel hideous. Like I do not have a good feeling apparently, right?
Put on some camouflage, a uniform, like everybody would salute you. No.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. Yeah, right. No, I think, well, and it was at a time I think we were wearing masks, so I just looked like I had leukemia.
Oh, yeah.
I was very pale. It was like right at the end of winter. It was like around this time a couple years ago, like March, April, so I'm very pale. Shaved my head. So I looked sick, I think. Or that was my perception anyway. But it was unique. And so initially it feels really shocking. I don't feel safe. I don't feel lovable. I don't feel accepted. I don't feel any of these things that having curly blonde hair seemed to give me. Having curly blonde hair, having beautiful, feminine looking self-expression seemed to somehow contribute to being safe, right? It seemed to make me acceptable or to make me lovable or to make me attractive to people or whatever. And without it, I was not safe, not lovable, not attractive, whatever,
Wow.
right? And so it's not really about the hair, obviously. It's about oh, that's not food.
Oh, bye. What's going on?
What are you doing with that? So funny. So obviously it's not about the hair, right? It's about the hair is a metaphor. It's all a metaphor. It's metaphor. Um Hello, sweetie pie. I love you very much. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you. I love you. Yeah, the hair is a metaphor for whatever we assign the effect of making us lovable and safe, right? So this would be appearance, right? So the hair seems to be uh, uh, surface level. Oh, if my appearance looks a certain way, then I'm worthy of love, right? That sort of thing. So, um, but when I cut off all my hair, it took a little bit of time for me to realize that my appearance did not have anything to do with my lovability, right? I could shave off all of my hair, I could make it a different shape or different color or whatever, still totally lovable, still attractive, arguably, right? Like had nothing to do even with making me less attractive, right? Um, but it's interesting to look at some of these stories that we tell about something like our appearance, for example. If I look a certain way, then people will look at me a certain way and then I'll get what I want or whatever, right? And my friend and I had this conversation today and they said, "Oh, I wear my glasses and then there's a voice in my head that says you can't wear those glasses. Nobody's going to like you or fill in the blank, whatever." Right? And then he's like, I wear the glasses for a couple days and then I stop wearing them, right? Because this voice in my head is like, hey, dude, you can't wear those glasses. You look like a doofus or a geek or whatever. And I said, oh yeah, totally. Like the trick is you just have to keep wearing the glasses and that voice gets quieter, right? You can't. If you give in to that voice, because he's like, I don't know what to do, right? He's like, that voice gives me such an uncomfortable feeling. That voice and that idea of not being attractive or not being approachable or not making myself into something that other people want, right? Basically, it's not safe for me to be myself. It's not safe for me to wear glasses because then I can't get what I want out of the world or I can't get what I want from other people, you know? And then I prompted the question. I said, "Well, what is it that you want from other people?" Right? Where is the ego justifying your experience here, right? Disguise, wearing a disguise, hiding who you really are. Where is the ego justifying this so that you can get what you want out of other people? What is it that you actually want from other people? Is there something that you want from other people? Do you have what you need? Um, and he didn't know, you know. So it was a recognition and a great conversation about a learned adaption, a learned behavior trait, uh, a learned behavior trait that seemed to help him survive for a while, but now no longer that helpful. Now, not that helpful anymore.
Things change.
Right.
I noticed the ego wants attention, wants, has a lot of wants. The spirit feels giving, feels like I just want to give love.
Yeah, totally.
Very different mindset.
Very different mindset.
Yeah.
And we talked about that too. I said, hey, just to be totally clear, there's nothing wrong with having a preference, right? The trick is recognizing if that preference is coming from you, if it's genuinely your preference that you seem to have in this, or is it a preference based on what are other people going to think? Oh, I have a preference for other people to see me this way. So if I don't have this haircut, they're not going to see me that way, right? Okay. Um, Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. And it was a very great conversation and it was really fun. It's really fun to witness within myself some of the reactions that come up, some of the projections I'm making around being a total fraud. Around being a total fraud. Apparently, people question this all the time. People question this all the time to me. You know, people will come, today it showed up as someone being like, I didn't feel anything. That really wasn't helpful. I don't want to pay for, the last hour and a half of your time and, blah, blah, blah. Right? Like money is more valuable to me than what you just handed me. And I'm sitting there and like my initial reaction is like, cool. I'm like, all right, man. I'm like, that's all right. Right.
There,
Right.
nothing.
Right. Well, and you can just tell it's another contradiction, and this person contradicted themselves later. They were like, I've spent so much time working with money and investments, and now it doesn't mean anything to me. So it's really quite funny, right? So it's interesting. They were very focused on the investment, the financial investment that they were putting in for some sort of effect that they maybe wanted to have, you know. Um,
To me, the simple action of just being available, trying to help somebody, whether they see it as help or not, but somebody just being available for someone else, you cannot put any monetary value to
right.
that.
Well, and I don't care about that. I offer free sessions all the time, so it's not
worth more than all the money that exists.
Yeah,
And
it's not something where it's but it's interesting, it has more to do with the idea of being a fraud or someone being like, basically you don't know what you're doing or I didn't get anything out of it, and or basically like thinking that it's some sort of scam, you know. And this has come up many times apparently where people are like, "What are you doing? You just want money from people, you want this, you just want that." And I'm sitting there, I'm like, "No, no, I'm here to help, But it comes up. It comes up, which shows me that there's part of my mind that, again, is worried about how people perceive me, right? Worried about how others perceive me. And I'm worried that others perceive me as apparently, there's a voice in my mind making this. I want people to perceive me this way. I want people to perceive me as a fraud or as a faker, fakey-tin, or, as as some sort of silly character in the yeah. I don't know the word for it.
charlatan.
Yeah, some sort of gypsy charlatan, here to sell you something that you don't want and charge you more than you ever bargained for. Like I want people to see me that way. Um, so that I can bring it to the truth, right? So there's a voice inside my mind that says, "You're a total faker. You're not old enough. You're not good enough. You don't know what you're doing. Stay small." Right? Don't put yourself out there. Stay as small as possible. Again, coming back with the voice, it's not safe to be yourself. You're not good enough the way that you are, right? So there's this voice inside me that says, "You're not good enough the way you are." And so then I seem to project and ask very nicely and make other people behave in a way that also communicates you're not good enough the way you are, or you're doing something wrong, right? Because there's a voice in my mind that says, "I'm not good enough the way I am. I'm doing something wrong. I'm bad somehow, right? I'm guilty of something and I'm not good enough, you know? And so then I ask other people to play along with this voice in my mind, right? Not because I actually am not good enough, not because I actually am bad, not because I'm actually doing anything wrong, but because I want to see it, right? There's an element where when it's just a voice inside me, it can kind of slip under the rug. It can kind of go unnoticed, not so serious, not so involved, right? It doesn't seem to capture my attention as well, right? When it's just an internal narrative. But when it shows up outside of me, I actually have to look at it. I can't skip over it. I can't brush it under the rug because it seems to be part of my life, right? That people see me this way. Even though,
Chance to interact and talk to it and give it an answer and
right? Sure.
explain the truth.
Explain the truth. And the teaching is for myself.
Yeah.
I'm not here to teach anybody can think that I'm a charlatan, you know, con artist, hooker, and that's awesome. That's great. That's great. They can totally think that if they want to. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. They can look at me however they want to. But I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to see it. Because then it gives me an opportunity to say, "Oh, that's so funny. That's adorable." You really got caught up when I said hooker.
You're gonna get a lot of attention now.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. What? She's a hooker? Oh, something's about my. Wait, we'll try this. We'll try this. Sorry, guys, we're rearranging a lot today, apparently. I just want to be like, oh, yeah. Now I'm comfortable. Now I'm a comfortable hooker. Woo! They could, yeah, they could. Oh, yeah. Yeah, like a hook. Hooker. Boxer, hooker. Um, yeah, it's quite funny. And then I noticed, I noticed the next thing that comes up is the ego reaction of wanting to defend myself. Yay! Someone says like, "Oh, you're a total fraud. You're a charlatan hooker." I don't know. They're like, "Oh, you're a total faker. You're a scam. This is a scam. I thought this was going to be a big thing, but you didn't do anything." Whatever, fill in the blank. And it's always funny because you can really tell, I've had conversations with this person in particular about how all that's required is willingness, and how someone who is a healer is only really ever simply facilitating. All they are ever doing is allowing someone who wants to heal, right? It seems to be a permission slip, right? Like going to get a massage seems to be a permission slip to letting yourself relax, apparently, right? Oh, hello. What are you doing? Can you go lay down, please? It's bedtime. Hello, baby. I know it. Go lay down. Thank you. Go, go, go. Um, yeah, it's fun. It's fun. But my next reaction apparently is to defend myself. Is to say, no, I'm not a fraud. This is what actually happened. This is what was going on. This is this and this is that. And uh and I think I did say like, oh, if you did something differently, then you would have had the results that you were expecting. But I can't cause those results, right? I can't actually do anything to you except literally just love you and let you be yourself. That's all I can ever do is just hold you in that space of perfect unconditional love you exactly as you are. Aside from that, I can't do anything.
But also, so what comes to my mind is, the experience that you're experiencing while all this is happening, while you interact with all the other people with these things, but also what's going on with them, because in their universe, while they're projecting, while they're manifesting these thoughts and ideas of, oh, they're fraud, they're charlatan, they're this and that, what's going on in their mind, you know? Is something deep inside them coming out? Is like, coming out to the surface, to the light.
Well,
So
again,
their process of like, stirring up emotions and thoughts and ideas from deep, deep down.
yeah. Again, it's the same thing we talked about before, where it's like when you're pretending to be a fake version of yourself, or when you're making yourself into a false character or a not real, oh, bedtime. All done. When you're making yourself into someone that you're not to get something out of other people,
Yeah.
or when you're playing a fake game to get something out of someone else, that's what you're expecting everybody else to be doing.
So it's like attracting that type of
You're not
opposite
attracting it.
or
You're
that
not a,
test
you're not attracting it, you're making it.
making.
Yeah.
Both,
Nothing exists outside of you. You're totally making it.
and it's like both people are doing it at the same time, or it's just you? And like different people who are in that test.
I'm gonna make whatever I need for my perfect healing,
Okay.
right? They're making whatever they need.
Okay. Yeah, could be something totally different for them.
Could be
Well,
something totally different for them,
discussion.
right? So
Okay.
for them, it may be the experience of, um, for them, it may be the experience of the fact that I am comfortable being myself,
Yeah.
and that I am safe to be myself and I'm safe to say no, I'm not going to do that. No, this is what I'm here to do. To the fact that I'm safe to not have to justify myself, right? Or not have to pretend to be someone that I'm not, just to receive X, Y, and Z, you know? Um, yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, we're all making exactly the perfect thing that we need, right? So what I need, apparently, for my greatest healing. Oh, hi, Pete. Thanks for commenting. I think what I need apparently is for someone to mirror back to me these thoughts about um, that I'm some sort of a scam artist, right? Whatever, however you want to say it, fill in the blank, a con artist or something, or essentially how I'm a fraud, how I'm just doing these things for money, or I'm not actually good enough to do them, or whatever, right? And apparently, what they need is someone to be that for them. Apparently what they want is for someone to give them something that's not what they were expecting, or to uh, what they want apparently is someone to not pretend to be something that they're not, right? This is my interpretation, right? Like this person really wanted, really needed, apparently, or made me be myself, right? They wanted me to be myself. They wanted me to do my thing, right? And just be myself, even though I'm not going to be a different version of myself to get something from you, right? I'm just going to be my version of myself. Whether I get something from you or not, totally fine, right? Doesn't matter.
Because we already have everything we
We already have everything we need.
need.
Right.
Yeah. So you
Right.
don't need anything from
So you don't
anyone.
need anything from anyone. And I think maybe that was part of it, you know? But it's always interesting to see, and it turned into it totally unfolded into a really awesome, great conversation. Great conversation. And and it is fun to see these projections, to see that I want to be the fraud. I want people to see me as a fraud, or to think I'm a fraud, so I can bring it to the truth, right? Apparently I want that to come up. And when it comes up, it doesn't last very long, right? It comes up and I say, "Oh, that's adorable. Where's that coming from?" You know? That's so cute. It's totally harmless. I know that it's not true. I don't have to be afraid of that thought. It has no power at all. Don't have to be afraid of that thought, right? Um, Super fun. Let me read this. Okay, our friend Pete says, first, I have realized that many people aren't looking for the truth as much as they're looking for comfort in an illusion. Nice. That's a great thought. That's a great thought. That's totally true. It does seem that way. It does seem that way. It's like the analogy I use for this a lot is um oh, like a little kid who thinks that water comes out of the sink. Like there's this little kid, and the little kid is like, "Oh, this is where water comes from. It comes from the sink." Um, and as an adult, you're looking at the kid and you're like, "Hey, kiddo, you're a little confused. Water doesn't come out of the sink. Water comes from the ocean, this massive source of water that covers almost everything on the planet, you know." But the kid is so determined on saying, "No, I can only have one cup at a time, and it comes out of this little faucet." And over time, ourselves, we are the kid and the adult, we are both, we are one. Over time, the little kid says, "Oh, I really wish I could have more water." And so then maybe they expand the sink, and maybe they figure out how to have a bathtub, right? And so they go from a sink to a bathtub, right? but it's still they never quite get to that level of satisfaction because what they really want is the ocean, right? Um, and so this is the first analogy I use to kind of teach and reframe this idea of seeking seeking love, right, in the dream, right? Or seeking comfort in the illusion is very similar to this, where it stems from a simple confusion. It stems from a simple confusion. Um, and you realize that you cannot get the ocean from the sink. You cannot get the ocean from a bathtub. You know, you have to exit the building. You have to exit the illusion in some capacity to have access to the ocean, right? Compared to the bathtub or the sink that you have inside the dream, right? So it's a confusion of where is the source of this? Where is the source? And how do I get some? How do I get some? So this comfort, yeah, it's a confusion. It's a simple confusion. Totally harmless, totally fine. A lot of people don't realize they're confused. Like a little kid is not going to know that they're confused. They're just confused.
Yeah.
And they feel frustrated.
Oh yeah, because for them it's the truth that they know.
Right.
You
So
know?
for them, yeah, what Davide just said, for them, it's the truth that they know. The truth that they know, what they've been taught, what they've rehearsed over and over and over again, and overlearned, learned over and over and over, is that comfort comes from something in the illusion. And it can take a gentle teacher to say, hey, there's an ocean out there. There's an ocean out there and you can access it. You can access it. All you have to do is choose that you don't want to settle for a sink anymore. If you want to keep choosing the sink as a level of comfort, you can. But the ocean is there and you have access to it as soon as you want to. It is always available to you. The next thing that comes up with this is understanding confusion about how we get comfort, right? Understanding that to be totally at peace and truly comfortable is our natural state, right? There's nothing we have to do or learn or make happen or be in order to have access to this comfort. However, all that we are simply doing is removing some of these adopted layers of identification with the illusion, right? We're removing some of these layers that we have put on ourselves, right? And the layers are totally fine, they're totally neutral. Nothing wrong with them, right? Um, But there seems to be, oh, this layer needs this kind of comfort, which it can only get from the illusion, because that layer is made of illusion, right? So, for example, the ego wants people to accept it, right? The ego needs love from other people, so it's going to behave a certain way or want to have an appearance be a certain way in order to receive that. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, good girl. Yay, good girl. Thank you. You're so good. Um, the ego's gonna do all these wacky, weird things
Yeah.
to get that attention, you know? So it's seeking comfort. Oh, if I get attention, then I'll be safe, right? So what do I do? What do I have to do to get attention? Because if I get attention, I'll be safe, or I'll be comfortable if I get this attention. So what do I have to do to get that attention? As opposed to recognizing, oh, I am safe and comfortable, right? I don't actually have to do anything, right? So it's yeah.
And It's really funny. I've been thinking quite a bit about the ego and all the things that the ego likes to create with the thought. And while some it may give the illusions like, oh, I want to seek comfort, it only seeks discomfort. And it creates so much division.
Yes.
So much
Yeah.
division. There's a scripture, I don't know if you want me to read it or not, but there's a scripture and it says, beware, brothers, that you don't create this divisions between you. Um, and I was just thinking, like, for so long in the dream, the rich and the poor trying to create division, the young and the old creates division, religions creates division, races creates divisions, the sexes creates division, so many divisions. When it's like, let's look at the truth, we're all one. So stop focusing on these divisions. And then even the words, the ego has created words that if you look at the words they focus on divisions.
Totally.
Yeah, I was thinking about that in these days.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all the ego wants to do is to separate you from other people, to prove that you're separate. It can't actually separate you. You can never actually be separate. But the ego is only focused on dividing you and other people. It will never focus on joining you with anyone,
So it
right?
kind of like a spotlight is like, oh, I do
I
exist.
do
Yeah,
exist, right?
but
Independent of all, right? I want to talk about that, how, seeking comfort in the world will only bring you discomfort, will only bring you discomfort. And I think the key here is to recognize that it will bring you a very temporary, imagined satisfaction, right? It's basically bringing um, like putting a blanket on the fire, but then the blanket catches on fire, right? So you have a brief moment of relief. That's the sensation that happens in the dream. You're not actually comfortable. You're experiencing a temporary relief, right? A temporary relief from the very same illusion, right? And it's so fun when we get into this. We really look at it. We say, "Oh, here's this temporary relief that I'm experiencing. But if it goes on too long, I'm going to need relief from that thing that gave me relief before." Like, oh, I'm so tired. For example, I'm so tired of being single. I'm so tired of being alone. Nobody loves me. Wow, I really want to be in a relationship. And then you get into a relationship, and now you say, oh my gosh, this is such a pain in the ass. I need relief from my relationship that I wanted so bad. That's not my experience, but it's a very common experience. Very common experience. Um, or for example, like, oh, I just want to take a break from being totally aware of what's going on. Let me get super hammered, right? And then you get super hammered, and then you say, oh, I need relief from the effects of alcohol. Oh, I really want alcohol to have an effect. Now I need relief from the effects of alcohol. Or yeah, I think that, yeah. So really, all that you're creating is a temporary sense of relief. You're never actually giving yourself any comfort. You're never actually going to find comfort in the illusion, right? Um, it's like water in a desert, right? The illusion of a sink. You know, the illusion of a sink, and really you made the sink. You made the sink and you said, "Ocean, fit into this sink." And it's like you're the thing with the desert in A Course in Miracles, Jesus talks about the thing with the desert is to get out of the desert, not to try and survive, right? Not to try and get something from the desert or anything like that. The thing with the desert is to leave the desert, to leave the desert. So again, the confusion that happens, totally harmless. It's okay. It's okay. We are all perfectly awake. We are all perfectly awake. And again, we don't know when we're confused. A lot of us don't know that we're confused, because again, it's what we've been taught over and over and over again. Um, and it can take a gentle teacher, right? A gentle guide to say, hey, there's an ocean out there and it's available to you. You don't have to put up with a sink if you don't want to. Um, but the willingness to see the ocean is up to the individual. And it's all perfect timing. There's no rush. There's no rush at all. No rush. And the more that we each identify these little ways that we are putting up with the sink when we really want the ocean, the little ways we're seeking comfort in the illusion, we're bringing it to truth for all of us, right? There is no bringing to truth that happens independently of anyone at all, ever. If you're bringing it to the truth, you're helping everyone. You're helping everyone.
Um, the memory in the internet. It's like a
Oh, like the cloud.
it's a memory.
Yeah, you store it to the cloud. You bring it to the truth and then put that thought of truth in the cloud, and it's immediately shared to all devices, immediately shared to everyone. That's a fun analogy.
Just ask and it'll come to you.
Yeah,
Ask and you shall receive.
yeah.
Very simple, just like that. And
Great.
then it could be through an instructor, it could be through a video, could be through music, could be through many things.
Totally.
But yeah,
Really, it's all coming exactly from you. You are perfectly you are perfectly you are creating the exact teaching that you need, right? Through any of these things, and you can totally trust yourself. You can totally trust yourself, even the illusionary body, personality, even this version of yourself that you made. You can 100% trust that you will always behave perfectly and that you will always make the exact circumstances that are most helpful to you and most helpful to everyone else. You will always do exactly perfectly. You can totally trust yourself on that. Totally trust yourself. What else do you have to say, Pete? Let's see. Well, looking for the truth as much as comfort in the illusion. The other thought I'd add is that it's so important to remember that we are the universe experiencing itself. The whole thing is God playing hide and seek and drag to see if we can find them. Nice. Keep up the good work. Thanks. Thanks, Pete. I love you. Yeah. I love this. This is what Ram Dass talks about a lot. We're all God in drag. We're all God in drag. One thing I want to add to this, the purpose is to see each other clearly. The purpose is to see each other as God, to see beyond the drag, to see beyond the illusion of the body, the illusion of the story that we seem to assign that character, any of these things, right? So when we notice any sort of projections, any sort of interpretations of someone else, right? Or um, again, stories that make them seem different than us, stories that make anyone seem separate to us, or different, or on a different level, or at a different place, or anything like that, right? It's just an opportunity to bring it back to the truth. And what I mean by bringing it back to the truth is um, in the moment, right? In a moment, you can even say, oh, I'm willing to see this person clearly, right? I'm willing to see that I am not separate from this person. I'm willing to see that this person is God. This person is Jesus Christ. This person is a pure extension of love, right? They are not my perception. They are not what I perceive. right? It's a matter of releasing perception, releasing what we see with the physical eyes. Oh, hello. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you. You're so good. Yeah, tiny face. Oh. Releasing what we see, releasing the perception, right? Saying, I don't want to see this person with my physical eyes. Because I recognize that when I'm looking at this person with my physical eyes, when I'm looking at this person with my physical eyes, I'm not seeing them clearly. When I look at this person with just my physical eyes, I seem to see a body. I seem to see a personality. I seem to interpret based on what can I get out of this person in the dream for my temporary relief from the hell that I made. Oh, I'm having so much fun. Yeah, so we really recognize, oh, I don't need my physical vision. I don't want to see someone with my physical eyes. I want to look beyond what the physical eyes see, what the physical perception is. I release my perception. I don't want it anymore.
I, I would like to add something to the comment of P. It's true that it is everything, it is God, experience itself, or existence, experience itself throughout many point of views. But those little point of views, the planets, the stars, the humans, the animals, everything, they are their individual being as well, but all connected to one, and they are one. So it's like both realities exist.
Yeah, any sense of individuality in that way is temporary,
Yeah.
right? Any sense of individuality that exists in that sort of way where you know, oh, this is a separate identity than something else, right? Um, or there's some sort of difference between these two things, right? Totally temporary. She looks like she's flying. Um, it's totally temporary, right? So any sort of difference between us, any sort of yeah, separate identity, any sort of these kinds of things, totally temporary, um, for the purpose of learning, right? Just like what I said before, where it's like each person is making exactly the perfect circumstances that they need best for their personal learning, right? For a great, ultimately, for the understanding of all,
Yeah.
for the understanding of all coming home. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah. Yeah, but they're all temporary. You're the best. You're the best. Thank you. Oh, do you want this? Do you want this? Yeah. There you go. There you go. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's all temporary. It's all perfect. This is the same where it's like, oh, some people seem to be so gifted. Anybody seems more or less awake than anyone else, right? Some people seem to take different characters or different roles in the dream, right? Like I seem to have the role of a teacher, right? Um, there's no actual difference happening, right? Again, it's totally what we are making that's perfect for our learning, right? But there's no real difference, right? Um, totally any sort of difference or separate identity, any sort of separation, part of the illusion. So it's an illusionary sense. It's totally temporary. And it's perfect. There's nothing wrong with it, right? Again, we seem to be experiencing this because it is the most helpful thing for us to be experiencing.
So in the spirit realm, the energy realm, or whatever it's called, do separate beings exist?
Only if it's most helpful.
Uh,
Only if it's most helpful for learning. Only if it's most helpful to recognize that we are all one.
yes.
Right.
We're all connected, so we are all one.
But again, it's still an illusion.
Yeah.
It's still an illusion because there is no separation anywhere. There's no separateness,
exist.
right?
So like my spirit exists,
But it's not separate,
but it is everything is part of one.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's the feeling I have. It's like I do exist and I am part of that body,
Mm-hmm.
of that one,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I also do exist as me.
Right.
I do feel that. It's interesting, yeah. It's like both exist at the same time.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
It seems that way. But the separate self does not exist in reality. The separate self is the illusion of the separate self. Yeah, that's super fun. But yeah, it's really lighthearted. It's really super lighthearted. It's not that serious, you know? So any of this talk about separation and we're all one, but we seem to exist as separate entities and this, that, and the other thing, super lighthearted. Super lighthearted. Everything that's occurring, including the illusion of differences or the illusion of separation, right? Is being used for learning, right? It's not necessary, right? It seems to make its own purpose, which is to further its agenda, right? Of the separate self being the true self, right? Because that's the only way it survives. The only way that the separate self survives is if you identify with it, right? If you don't identify with it, it totally does not survive at all, right? And that's okay. That's okay.
But okay.
You can seem to witness it, right? You can seem to witness it. You can seem to experience it,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Just like how you seem to experience anything else in this dream. It's not who you really are. It's not who you really are.
So interesting. So the reality is that the population of existence is one. That's it.
We are one.
Interesting.
Cannot be separate from our creator, cannot be separate from the source that we are, right? That we create from, right?
Man. So interesting.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's so fun. It allows everything to be super light. It allows everything to be super light, you know? You're able to see like, oh, everything that comes up is perfect for my learning, perfect for their learning, right? Everything that comes up is here to remind me that we are one.
But so if we say this, is God learning or are we learning?
This would be the illusion, right? The illusion of the separate self is what seems to need the learning. What seems to need the learning, right? So we are learning to release the illusion. We seem to believe that we were separate from God, right? And we are learning, we are remembering that we are not separate from God, right? So again, it's a shift of belief. It's a shift of belief.
But we
But
also exist as a son of God.
yeah, that will never change.
We are God. Just like Jesus said in the Bible too.
That will never change. That can never change, right?
I am.
But the belief in separation, the belief in the illusionary self, right? We made basically a false version of ourself, right? We made a false version, a weird, wonky, kind of fucked up version of a son of God. And that's what we believe in, apparently. That's what we're believing in. And so that's what we're making. And so all that's happening in this process of learning that seems to be occurring is that we are remembering, oh, I don't want the false son of God. I don't want to make a false idol,
Uh,
right? I want to be the real, I want to be who I really am. I don't want to make a false idol of any other son of God
uh-huh.
or any other of God's creation, right? I want them to be the perfect son of God that God would have them be, that God made them to be.
So,
Their true self. Their true self, not body identification, not story identification or personality identification.
yeah.
Just allows everything to be super light. Super light. Yay! That's our time for today. Wahoo!
That was nice.
Yeah, God playing hide and seek and drag. Thank you so much for your comment, Pete. That was so fun to talk about. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Bara, for yelling. That was perfect timing. Yay, this was so fun. We'll be back next Tuesday at 6 p.m. at Undefined Wellness below the Main Street Museum in White River Junction, Vermont. Also live on Facebook. Woohoo!
She is friendly.
Oh yeah, my dog is very friendly. She is really friendly. Um, sometimes she yells, sometimes I yell, apparently. Okay, see you next time. Ciao, bye.